All right, so this project looks like it could be really, really difficult because you want to go back historically and look how markets have done, but there's a few problems. First of all, getting historical option pricing is very, very difficult. Very difficult. Some students say, well, because if you think about options, there's many, many, many of them. There's what's called the option chain. I don't know if you've seen that, but Apple has a call option on it, but not just one. Has a call option at all different strikes, $100, $110, $120, $130, $140, and it's got many dates, expiring in March, April, May, June, July. You put all that together, then you got puts, you got thousands probably, hundreds and hundreds of options. So which option price do you get? Well, that's kind of messy. The second thing students say, well, we'll just put in an option and we'll use Black-Scholes option pricing or something like that. Black-Scholes works really, really well, except for when you really need to work the best. When you get into those extremes, because that's why you're buying the options, right? For the extremes, that's when Black-Scholes really breaks down. But the third reason we don't really need historical option pricing is I don't think we really care. Because the options we're going to buy are based on today's option prices. We can't buy historical option pricing. So what we're going to do is we're going to do intrinsic value analysis. And that may seem complicated, but it actually keeps things really, really simple. So by intrinsic value, we're going to say, assume today's option pricing, and then we're going to value the option at expiration, which is really easy to do. And I'll show you the formula for that. But then we're going to use historical returns for the S&P 500 and the bonds. So we are going to use history for the stock market and the bond market. We're going to use current prices for the options because that's what we can get today. So here's the theory. I know it sounds a little confusing, but the theory is we're going to set up the program today given today's option prices, but then we're going to test it and see what would this program, if we set this up today, how would it look if any of the last 30 years were to peak the next year? All right, so if we set it today, see what happens, and then we'll use history to give us that simulation. So I think it's actually a very good approach. I think it's actually superior. I've tried to get actual historical prices, and I actually think this approach is superior. Because all you can do is buy what the option market has today. We're going to set up the option for 1 year in advance, which makes it really easy because then you just look at annual returns. This is called a leap. So it makes it really simple. So how do you get the intrinsic value of the option? Well, hopefully y'all remember this from my finance class, investment class, but for a put, the value is the max of what? The strike minus the stock and what? Can you lose money? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Minus the option premium. Right? Oops, I didn't get the minus. Hopefully y'all remember that from my investment class. So put, you take the strike minus the stock price. That's a negative number. If the strike is less, then you don't execute and you just let it expire worthless, and then all you lose is the option premium. What about a call? It's the max of the, real simple, you just flip them, right? The stock price minus the strike, and 0 minus option premium. But we're not buying calls. What are we doing with the calls? I'm going to sell the calls. So with the short call, it's going to be minus the max minus the strike and 0 minus the option premium. Which means if this is worthless, we get to keep the option premium, so it's to our benefit. All right, so you need to know these formulas. If you haven't seen these formulas, they're not that complicated. They're actually pretty simple. If you're taking my investment class, we're going to go into quite a bit of detail, but it's actually pretty simple. So just think about it. If we bought a put with a strike of 1,000 and the S&P a year from now is at 1,100, what would this put be worth? Your strike is 1,000, the S&P is at 1100. You can execute that option. Yeah, I can do it. You don't want the right to sell the S&P at $1,000 if it's traded at 1100. That's not a valuable thing to do. So in that case, you just pay the option premium. It looks a lot like insurance, doesn't it? It's like buying auto insurance and you don't have an auto accident. How much life insurance do you buy if you know you're not going to die in the next 30 years? Don't buy any. All right. If you buy life insurance and you haven't died or you're really upset at the end of the year, you're buying insurance. So that's part of the purpose of it. On the call, well, let's say if the S&P, your strike is 1,000 and the S&P falls down to 800, then what do you have? Then you're going to execute. And you're going to make $200. $200 times what? Well, this is per contract. So if you have 10 contracts, you just multiply this by 10. All right. Now, what's the one confusing factor? The premiums are assuming you're buying 100 contracts, so you have to multiply everything by 100, but we'll get that math built in. All right. Same thing with the calls. So what does that mean that you need? When you set this up, you need to have a spreadsheet, and we'll meet again on this if you decide to do this project. You set this up so that you have the year here. Maybe you start back in, I don't know, 1980. You set up your years and go up to 2015 or something. Oh, why did I do that? Go out to 2015. You need the S&P 500. You need a bond. You need the put option. You need a call option. You have the traditional portfolio, that 40-60 portfolio, and then you have the option portfolio. So you got to get all this data. How in the world would we get the S&P 500 return? Well, watch this. This is pretty easy. I'm going to go to Yahoo Finance. Find it. Finance. Then type in Vanguard. $500. And for some reason the computers here just don't work, so you gotta force it. Force it to find it. So for some reason on that first page it doesn't. So we'll do the Vanguard. I don't know which one has the longest history. We'll try the Vanguard 500 Index INV. We'll see how far back it goes. We'll do historical and then historical prices. We're going to do monthly, but we're going to go back to 1980, so that's good. Get prices monthly. We actually want annual, so we're going to take the monthly and go to annual, but I'm going to show you how to do that. We'll bring the Vanguard fund in. March isn't over, so I'm going to take March out of there. Which price do you want? Open, high, low, close, or adjusted close?
Adjusted close.
Adjusted close, so you get the dividends in there, so we can delete everything else out of there. And we'll annual returns, so I'm just going to take all the 2016 out of there. I'm going to resort it. Call this the earliest.
Sorry, real quick.
All right, let me show you real quick. All we need are the Decembers. All right, to get our return for a year, we're going to take 12/31/81 divided by 12/31/1980 minus 1, and there's your 1980 return. Y'all see that? So all we need is the ending numbers. So I'm going to show you a trick I do. Y'all might know a better trick. I'm going to bring the year in here. I'm going to say if the year equals the next year, give me 0, otherwise give me 1. So what is that going to do? Every December I'll get what? I'll get 1 every December. And so now what can I do? I can copy that and paste it as values. And then when I sort it, what do I end up with? All my Decembers. Isn't that exactly what I need? I'll see what I did. And so how do I get my returns now? I just take ending, talk about beginning, -1. I now have, in a matter of seconds, I have the return of the S&P 500. Does that look right? We lose 37% in 2008? Looks about right.
Can you do it the other way, where like the ending minus beginning divided by beginning, or?
Well, if you want to do it the way I did the half-point period return, you do ending minus beginning divided by beginning, but you get the exact same answer.
Oh, okay.
So I like to do ending divided by beginning -1, or you can do ending minus beginning divided by beginning. Either one's the same answer. All right, so here I got, in just a matter of seconds, I got my S&P 500. That was easy, all right? And that's going to dictate to me how my option does, because you'll see when we build out, man, we can move faster. Bond fund, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do Vanguard, short-term bond fund. I can find it. I'll try this FDISX. It probably won't go back to 1980. It only goes back to 1994. That's the tough part, is finding a good bond fund that will go back. I think that one's going to work. 2009, no, so we'll have to find a bond fund. But you do the exact same thing once you find a bond fund. Get your returns in here. I'll try to find one I can send to you all that might work. We may not be able to go back to 1980. Unfortunately, bond funds don't have as much history. But I might be able to get it from someplace. All right. The next thing you need to know is your put option strike, your put option premium. Here's where you have to do some work. This is probably the hardest part of this. The S&P 500 right now is at 2063.95. So where do we want to set that put option? I want to say, hey, I want this person to lose more than say 8%. So I'll multiply that 0.2. So I'm going to set my strike at 1900. So if the market falls to 1900, beyond that point, my customer won't lose any more money. All right. So find some level. This is where you can maybe have to do a little bit of work to figure out what the right answer is. But so if the market falls 8%, if the S&P falls from 20,063 down to 1900. That's the most my customer is going to lose. So the question is, what is the option premium? We want to go out 1 year, so what is 1 year from the day? March 2017. So we can go to cboe.com and go to quotes and data, do delayed quotes. Stock we're looking for is SPX. Submit that. And we want all of these for what? March 2017. See how that is? You just find it. Do the chain. And what put are we looking for? 1900. Here it is. The price is either $88 or $90.50. Which do you think we're going to pay? Do we get to pay the low price, or do we get to pay the high